Today is August the 8th. We have 3 more games in the WNBA for today. They all kind of spread out too. We got a 1 o'clock start time, a 3:30 start time, and a 8:30 start time. So should be a good day of hoops, man. I'm excited. Um, as far as yesterday goes, uh, we did pretty good, man. I think the short list was 4-1 again. Just a lot of 4-1s recently. I ended up betting Washington. I didn't know why the line was moving towards Atlanta, but I don't trust Atlanta as a favorite, especially on the road against a hot Washington team. So that was a winner. I think we talked about Angel Reese over her rebounds and assists, 13.5. She finished with 16, so that was a winner. I didn't bet that one. I did bet Ryan Howard, though. I talked about Ryan Howard. Didn't add her to the short list, but Ryan Howard did go over her points prop. She got hot in the third, going into the fourth quarter, third quarter. And I didn't really have the strongest looks. I stayed off of Phoenix once Brittany Griner got rolled in because I know the pace slows down so much. And Golden State got the job done as well. I didn't bet Golden State, but I hope you guys hope the analysis was good enough for someone to take Golden State yesterday, even though didn't expect AZ for it to get rolled out, but she got rolled out as well. So let's jump into it for today, man. Hopefully you guys found some ways to make some money. We'll start off with Jackson, AI Sports Betting Tool. Linked in the description of the video as always. The prompt for today, the same one that we've been running. Yesterday was a loser with Arike Gomawale. She shot the ball pretty poorly from the field and just didn't get the job done. So same prompt today. We'll go back to it. Analyze today's WNBA slate to find the highest value opportunities for player props. Focus on lines that show a significant discrepancy against 5-game rolling averages, tracking changes in usage rate due to injuries or favorable defensive matchups, specifically targeting points, rebounds, or assists. Provide the data, the underlying metrics, and reasoning for each recommendation. Jackson today likes Natasha Howard over her rebounds and assists. Line comes in at 8.5. Here's a little juice. It's minus 140. So maybe even bumping this up to 10. It says that her production has been remarkably consistent, and this line is sitting well below where she's been operating. She's averaged 9.6 combined assists and rebounds over her last 5 games. I think that's important because, Fee has been back for, I think, about 5 games now, and 11 over her last 10 games, clearing the 8.5 line in 80% of her last 5 and 90% of her last 10. The deeper samples tell the same story. 86.7% over hit rate over her last 15 games and 80% over her last 20. Her season average of 10.94 clears this line by nearly 2.5 combined stats. On the road, she's even better, hitting 70.6% clip with a 9.94 average across 17 games. So, yeah, it's some more here, but I don't feel like reading it all. Let's jump straight into it for today. We'll start off with that first game, which is Aces and Lynx line, sitting right at, looks like 5 now. So this has come back down a little bit. Open 4.5, 5.5 on some books, and it's been fluctuating back and forth between the two. So we do have this is the game of the day. We got Cheyenne Parker Tires listed as out for the Las Vegas Aces. I think everybody else should be good. And then on the Minnesota side of things, I don't think they have anybody on the report. So before we even dive too deeply into the analysis, if you're somebody who follows the games, then you know that this is definitely a Minnesota spot. Does it mean that they're going to win and cover? I mean, not necessarily. It doesn't happen all the time, but for the Aces, this is the fourth of a 5-game road trip. They're coming off back-to-back wins against Atlanta and Indiana. The Indiana game went to overtime as well. They have covered 4 of their last 5. And they're coming off, again, that overtime game against the Indiana Fever where Chelsea Gray had to hit 2 big threes to force overtime and then to win the game. And it's the first leg of a back-to-back. They actually got a game against the New York Liberty tomorrow, so it'll be even worse spot for them tomorrow. The last game of a 5-game road trip tomorrow against the New York Liberty, with New York Liberty having revenge as well. So it's not the greatest spot for the Las Vegas Aces. And then on the other side of things, Minnesota is coming off their worst loss of the season. Lost that game against the Sparks when the Sparks were unrested as 16.5-point home favorites. It is their 3rd straight home game, though. They do have equal rest. And Cheryl Reeves, they lost that game by 7. It was 89-82, I think. And Cheryl Reeves had some choice words. She was livid after the game. I won't say all the words that she said post-game, but they also play tomorrow as well. and they don't have to travel. They got the Dallas Wings coming up tomorrow on the second leg of a back-to-back. Dallas coming off a couple losses as well, so that'll be an interesting game. But Shell Reeves, she called out the defense with some very, very choice words. And I think we see Minnesota bring it in this spot. Minnesota had actually won 9 straight games, but had only covered 2 of their last 8. And they've been an over team, 7-3 to the over in their last 10. I looked at a couple different things here. So first off, let's talk about the matchup. So Las Vegas did win the first one, 100-97. It's 3.5-point home favorites. They didn't cover that game. And they did go over the 174.5 total, almost 200 points easily. The last 4 have actually gone over the number, and 7 of the last 10 have actually cleared the number. When Shell Reeves speaks like that about the defense, though, I don't necessarily want to run to the window and take an over between 2 of the best offenses in the WNBA in the next game. I think this is the spot where Las Vegas could run out of gas, with it being the 4th game of a 5-game road trip, only having 1 day of rest, and Minnesota, in a much more inspired, motivational spot here in this spot. So if I'm betting the game, I do think it's Minnesota. I like Minnesota more than I like the total. Minnesota can get the job done with their offense. They can get it done with their defense. Now, just transparency-wise, I do think that this line should be about 3.5. The reason why it's open 4.5 and now it's being pushed to 5.5 and now back down to 4.5 and all that good stuff is, to my opinion, is because all that's baked into the line, right? Like Minnesota, I don't know if they'd be laying 5.5. If Vegas wasn't playing their 4th game of a 5-game road trip and, coming off the overtime game. I think all that is kind of factored in here. But a couple systems I have are on Minnesota. All for loss is the double-digit favorite. Just in their franchise history, 11-3 ATS in their next game. That's 79%. That dates all the way back to 2013. Joe Reeves just typically gets them up to play. They are 0-2 ATS in that spot this season, though, something to take, into consideration. But then they also have a lot more rest and a lot less travel games in their last 5. And that's a strong trend as well. About 59% over 100-game sample as well. You look at teams coming off a win as a dog, and they went to overtime in their last game and they're on the road. That's a fade spot for the Aces. And the Aces, the Lynx also have, revenge in this game as well. And that's been a pretty solid angle for them so far this season. So I can see the Aces running out of gas late in this game. Minnesota kind of getting better as the game goes on. The Aces kind of getting worse as the game goes on. I think Minnesota's the right side if I had to bet it. I did not bet it, though, but that's the way that I'm looking. I may bet it, but I haven't bet it yet. All right, next game up is the let's see. I can get my colors back the right way. So we got Indy and Chicago. Line sitting at 5.5 on most books. This was at 6.5. There's still 6.5. Total was at 191, and it's come down a little bit, down to 180. Looks like 189.5 is the lowest. So another super high total. Sydney Taylor's out on the Chicago side of things. Azrae Stevens is back, and Indiana has Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston both listed as probable, expecting both of them to play. So we got Indy coming off back-to-back losses. They lost to the Minnesota Lynx and the Las Vegas Aces. Didn't cover either one of them. They don't play again until Tuesday, though, so they do have a couple of days off after this game. Indy's been an over team. We know that they've been able to score, not really able to get stops. And really, that's the reason why they lost both of those games. Minnesota and Las Vegas, they lost both of them because of their defense. And you could say that they kind of played some pretty good defense in their last game against the Aces. They kind of match up well with the Aces. But couldn't stop Minnesota, and 8-2 to the over in their last 10 games. Although they did go under. Their last game was 192.5, and they stayed under against the Aces. And they're coming off overtime games, so that's something to take into consideration. Spot-wise, Chicago is in the better spot, right? They're playing their 5th straight home game. They're coming off a win against the Las Vegas Aces in their last game. I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Sparks in their last game, and they do have a one-day rest advantage. They've actually covered 8 of their last 9, and they've won 3 of their last 4, and that was with the big upset against the Aces in that game as well. However, Sydney Taylor was a part of that, and you would love to have Sydney Taylor in this spot. To me, I think all of these Indiana games are going to be super high totals. Not that Chicago plays a lot of defense at all, but they have been pretty good since Dejanay Carrington has made her return. I don't really like them as much without Sydney Taylor, though. I know that they beat the Sparks, but this is an Indy team coming off back-to-back losses. I think Indy first half, Indy first quarter would be the best spot. This is a spot where with Indiana being at a significant, not a significant, but being at the rest of disadvantage, coming off an overtime game, having to travel, Chicago playing their 5th straight home game, Chicago having covered a lot of games, maybe late they find a way, but I think early in this game, Indiana will be locked in, they'll be focused, they'll be motivated, and I don't know if Chicago is going to be able to stop them. We know that Indy is a good rebounding team. I think that they'll have the advantage there offensively with Ezra Stevens coming back, having missed like the last 5 games probably, or at least 4 games in a row, and Sydney Taylor not being there for the 2nd straight game. I know that they've been playing better, but I think Indy early makes the most sense. If Indy started to fade in this game, that wouldn't surprise me a lot at all. So Indy first quarter, Indy first half would be the way that I'm looking in that game, thinking they come out a little motivated off back-to-back losses. All right, so that is that one, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm looking at myself. I kind of feel like I may be glitching a little bit. Y'all let me know in the comment section if this video, is a little glitchy. It feels like I'm moving a little slower than I typically do. Anyway, last game on the board is Seattle and Portland. Line at 1.5 and total coming down. This open 181. I thought I saw 181.5. It's now down as low as 179 flat. On the Seattle things, I don't see anybody on the injury report. And on the Portland side of things, Bridget Carlton is probable and Carly Lou Sampson is listed as questionable. You definitely want Bridget Carlton in if you want Portland. This will be the 3rd matchup between these 2 teams. Portland has – I don't think about Portland being, the better of these 2 teams. But Seattle, they just don't get a lot of wins. They've already played twice. Portland won both games. They've covered both as well. First, they were 4.5-point home favorites, and they won that game. And then they were 4.5-point road dogs, and it went to Seattle and won that game as well. But the line kind of tells me that Seattle is live in this one. I never really want to lay points for Portland. I've said that time and time again. We talked about it last Sunday, I think it was, when they were playing against the Sparks. They lost that game outright. But they are 4-1 straight up 4-1 straight up, and 3-2 ATS when laying points. And they're in a better situational spot than this Portland team. Seattle does have a 1-day rest advantage, but this is the last of a 4-game road trip. So not the greatest spot. They played some really good competition the Seattle team has. They played New York twice, Atlanta twice, Indy twice, Minnesota twice in their New York twice, Indy twice, and Minnesota twice, in their last 6 games. All playoff teams, all really good teams. And they lost all 6, but they did cover 4-6. Overall, they've lost 10 straight now. And I don't know, man. Essentially, in this game, if you take them as a dog, you need them to win outright. And they're just 6-27 when they, just full season as far as straight up wise, which is 18% of their games they win. That's not something I really want to bet on. 2-16 straight up if they're playing in road games, which dropped that percentage down to 11%. Portland playing their 4th straight home game. Again, situationally, it's a much better spot for them. They don't play again until Wednesday. That also helps. Still don't have to travel. That next game will be at home as well. And they are coming off a win against Toronto to end a 5-game losing streak in their last one. They're 7-3 to the over as well, not playing a lot of defense. My systems tell me to take the over in this game, man. I like over. I got a couple that strongly favor the over, like a couple 70% systems that say take the over. And I know we've seen an over, we've seen an under between these 2 teams already. Seattle just not in the spot where I want to trust them, even though I feel like they are better than Portland. They have more talent than Portland right now, especially with the injuries. But Portland plays hard at home, and I'm not a person that really backs Portland a lot, especially if they're laying points. So don't really want Seattle in this spot. I would look towards the total, and I would play this one over the number if I'm betting anything at all. Those are my thoughts. I'm not going to go through outlier right now just because I do have a couple player props, but I'm not going to go through outlier and show you guys those just because I feel like I am glitching a little bit. So I'm just going to end this show and see if I can get everything situated, all the technical difficulties for the next show. Hopefully you guys can still hear me even if I am glitching, and hopefully I'll be back tomorrow and be able to get everything set up the way that I need to, so I can have a much more productive show if it is actually glitching. I don't hear my audio in the background either, like my instrumental in the background either. But yeah, that's it for today. If we get into a quick recap really quickly, let's see what we got. Hit the like and subscribe if you guys can, especially if you found the show helpful. And let's get into the quick recap real quick. We have let's see. So Minnesota, I do think it's the right side, minus the 5.5. Minus the 4.5. Don't take 5.5. You can get 4.5. I do think they're the right side in that game today. There are a couple 4.5s available. I see the best. Looks like the best one is over on DraftKings at minus 115. If I play it, it will be on them. Not the aces. Not an aces spot today. And then Indy, first quarter. Indy first half. First quarter point spread is, let's see, we got it right. Yeah, you can get Indy minus 1.5. I like that. Indy first half should be minus 2.5. Yeah, should be Indy first. Indy first half should be 2.5, and don't really want to trust them for the full game. And then Portland and yep, 2.5, and then Portland and Seattle and Portland. If I'm betting it, I'm taking it over the 179, which you can get on Caesars right now. Caesars got 179. Everybody else got 179.5 or 180. So that's what I like today. From a player prop perspective, I do like the Natasha Howard look as well. I think that's a solid one for sure. Kelsey Mitchell's been absolutely hooping. I would not be fading her. And Aaliyah Boston to grab some boys against Cardoso. We know that the Chicago is not the greatest rebounding team, so I think she should be able to go down there and do whatever she wants to on the glass, but I won't add those here. And that'll be it, man. Recap is, you guys just saw it. Resources is listed here. Jackson, Outlier, Moneyball, Odds Jam. Show's always going to be sponsored by, Outlier as well, and same thing for Moneyball and Odds Jam as well. So make sure you guys are checking those out for your own sports betting needs. Hit the like on the way out. Appreciate you guys for tapping in as always. Y'all enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.